Hello, welcome everyone to another edition of our trials of our CryptoPrevent version 8 HoneyPot feature. This is a new feature that we've developed to basically protect you when all other protections fail, including the other protections built into CryptoPrevent. This is going to be a worst case scenario if the ransomware gets onto your system. This is going to be the last thing that your last measure of defense before your data is compromised. It's a very powerful feature. It basically detects the type of activity that most ransomware engages in. By that I mean encrypting your data. And when it notices this, it puts a halt to it and stops it hopefully prior to it infecting any of your files, although we hope to demonstrate the actual performance against real ransomware here, so not just theoretical protection, real protection. I'm going to show you how to configure it, and then I'll just let all of you out there observe the results and see if you think it'll be beneficial to you. I think it's a very exciting feature because you can't always predict what the next generation of ransomware is going to be doing. We'd love to say that everything we've done will protect against all future variants, but we just know in reality that there's going to be something that they're going to do differently a day, a week, or a month from now, or a year from now that is maybe unanticipated and not currently protected against with our current protections in CryptoPrevent. So I digress. I'm going to initially infect my system so you can see what it will do with the actual ransomware without it being inhibited by the HoneyPot feature, and then we'll enable the HoneyPot feature and try it out again. So without further ado, I'm just going to open up my ransomware folder. Today I've chosen to do Apocalypse. I've obtained a sample from June for this particular variant. It's currently has a bin extension. I'm going to rename that to an exe. And now that it's executable, I'm simply going to launch it. Now, one word of caution, we do all these tests in a secure virtual environment without network connectivity, thereby eliminating any risk to our data and our networks with these very live samples, because as you'll see shortly, they will do a lot of damage, and we don't want us to be harmed by that, and we don't want you to be harmed if you were to engage in these types of tests at home. So please make sure that that's done and that you have the appropriate settings before you engage in this. And it might even be best to leave that up to the folks that do this on a daily basis. You can see and observe the results of our labors here. So, but do as you wish, and just let us know if you find anything differently from what we've demonstrated here, but be careful above everything else. So I'm going to launch it, and you'll see it went right to work. It's basically encrypting our data right now. I'm not going to let this run long, but I'm just going to give it a little bit of time here to make sure that it's compromised our systems. I noted by the hard drive activity on the virtual machine that it's definitely active. As you can see too, it's also forcibly killing tasks, including Start menu and Explorer, and basically won't allow me to run anything at this point, so I'm pretty much stuck. So we're going to go ahead and do a quick, we're going to go ahead and do a quick reset of our virtual machine. And we'll take a look at the damage briefly. And remember, this is going to be this would be what would happen if there were no protections in place, where the ransomware was able to run without trouble, without any sort of protection. Worst case. So I had a bunch of files on my desktop. I'm not noting those files any longer. I also placed a bunch of documents into these various shortcut folders here. So let's take a look. Oh, not a good start here. We're clearly encrypted in there. Yeah, not good. Let me find the regular documents folder. That's public documents. I thought I had documents in here. So here we go. Oh, didn't seem to get to that one yet. Seemed to get to the public folders first. Probably, oh, didn't get to that one either. It's about timing. I guess if I had let it run a little bit longer, it probably would have encrypted a little bit more, but clearly it certainly got our files here. I'm just going to see if, oops, that's the same one. Oh, it got these two. So it looks like public pictures, public music. So clearly we're impacted. I also want to demonstrate, I don't think I showed you this, but I wanted to demonstrate that there was no protections turned on in CryptoPrevent currently, even though it is technically installed. There's no protections enabled. The HoneyPot and Folder Watch are not enabled. Okay, so at this point we're going to revert our virtual machine back to its previous state. And you see the screen back here and the virtual machine's restarted, so we're back to basically step one. This time, however, we're going to do a couple of things before we execute Apocalypse. We're going to open up CryptoPrevent, and we're going to enable its HoneyPot features. The only plan that includes HoneyPot is the Extreme plan currently. So I don't want to actually, that also enables everything else, and I just want the HoneyPot to be in action. The HoneyPot does depend upon Folder Watch, so we'll need to enable that, and it also depends upon the quick access there, but as you'll see, that'll automatically get checked for us. So I'm basically going to go to the Folder Watch, and I'm going to check off the Folder Watch protections, and then I'm going to go to the HoneyPot and enable that. It's asking me I have that requires the tray for notifications to work fully. I highly recommend that you do that, so we're going to go ahead and make that happen. You'll see it pop up down there in the corner. Love the Tray app too, by the way. It gives us access to a whole lot of features, including the real-time notifications, which we're interested in for this test purpose here too. So we'll go back. We'll need to make sure that that's also fully enabled. And then once we're done, we're going to hit the Apply button. We're going to say no to whitelisting anything. Now, let me just, we're going to confirm that everything is enabled after a restart. So we're going to just go ahead and restart now. Nothing special going on here. Just going to confirm the protections are properly in place, and then we're going to see how well it works. So it looks like we've got Folder Watch enabled. It should show up here, and it should show here. And that should be all that's necessary for our protection to work. At this point, I'm going to go straight to the ransomware folder, if I could find that shortcut. I'm going to go back to our Apocalypse sample. Got to rename it. Yet again, probably should have renamed all these files prior to this video, but as I said, unscripted. So we're going to go ahead and attempt to launch it and see what, if anything, happens with the HoneyPot feature. Huh, that's interesting. I think you guys will note that the screen seems to have gone blank. I'm noting the activity on my virtual machine, and it is still quite active here. I do want to note that this is the this is the point at which CryptoPrevent's HoneyPot is actively battling, let's say, actively battling the ransomware. So the machine at this point is going to be slow, and this is by design. It's impacting the ransomware's ability to proceed, and as you'll hopefully see here in a few minutes, what we'll do here to put a stop to it. But the process is actually occurring right now, and I'll show you the results of that in a moment after we restart the machine. But normally what would happen here, and again, this has not been I haven't tested this before, so I really am a little bit unsure what's the result of this. Might be a success, might be a failure, might be anywhere in between. So we'll have to see. But basically, what normally the flashing just occurs, and you saw that in the infection. It doesn't get to this point here, but normally I would have expected to see a CryptoPrevent screen pop up, giving us a choice to shut down or restart. I'm not apparently seeing that right now. I do note that we have a start menu coming up, and it's possible we'll still get that pop-up here in a little bit. If for some reason we can't get the pop-up, that still doesn't necessarily mean that anything has, or doesn't necessarily mean that it's a problem. I still believe, because of what's occurring right now, that the protection is still in place. Here we go. This is what I was referring to. So this is CryptoPrevent notifying the user that that things have gone wrong. One only thing I want to point out, though, is that you do have to be patient for this, obviously. It's going to seem like your system's really unstable, and your first impulse will be to reboot. That wouldn't be a bad impulse if you forcibly turned off the computer. That's going to protect you as well, but I wanted to leave it running to show you what happens if you allow it to proceed. In other words, I could have, in those intervening moments, I could have restarted the system. I think you'll find that the HoneyPot was at least somewhat successful, and we'll show you that shortly, hopefully. But I didn't want to prematurely restart. It wouldn't have caused any harm. In fact, it would have probably, if encryption was going on, it would have prevented further progression of it. So I don't want to necessarily say this is something you shouldn't do, but for the points of this test, I didn't want to have it happen. I didn't want the machine to be rebooted before you could see this message, and also to basically give the ransomware as much time as it needs to damage your computer. I'm not rushing to push this reboot button. I do want to note as well that pushing the reboot button does not necessarily mean you're safe after that. The HoneyPot feature is preventing files from being encrypted. It does not necessarily prevent your system from being compromised in other ways. That being said, you'll still need to perform a cleanup of your computer after this is done. The goal, though, is that your data will still be intact. So I'm going to go ahead and restart. And we're getting a warning message about that. That warning message goes on to say basically what I just said, that the system will still need to be cleaned. So we're going to log back in, and we're going to see the extent of the damage. So I'm going to look in the so I do recall there being something in the desktop here. So it looks like maybe something did happen. Public desktop, or was it the regular desktop? No, not sure what happened there. Let's take a look at our documents, user documents folders. All of our data is intact, no sign of encryption. Let's open something up. Oh, looks good. Yeah, there's nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong here. Nothing wrong. Hopefully this will be a very common trend. Nothing wrong. I'm wondering about the desktop, though. I'm not clear what happened with the files on the desktop. I had some documents on the desktop, but all right. Nothing here. I just copied the same documents to all these folders, by the way, if you're following along with us. Nothing here. Nothing here. No encryption in yet another folder. We already looked at this one. That's the only one I have a little bit of question about. Oh, no damage. No damage. No damage. Wow. So, we don't appear to have any data compromised. I'll put a little exception to that as far as the desktop. I'm a little unclear what happened there. I'm going to try to explore that a little bit further. Again, not scripted, so these are real results. But I think you'll find that the normal place this data would be is good. Now, what I want to note here is the activity. The activity of the HoneyPot is shown in the history here. So this is basically what happened. It detected malicious activity in the public documents folder. Let's go back to the public documents folder. Okay. So, not sure if you can see this. I believe you can. But these files were encrypted. Guess what, though? These are HoneyPot files. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe 6 HoneyPot files were compromised. Just want to note, though, that none of the actual data, none of the user's data is encrypted in here. Just a few HoneyPot files. According to our log, this is, so basically at this point, we saw the activity on our HoneyPot file. We basically stopped the computer at that point. We weren't able to end it, the encryption, until these files were compromised. But again, those are the HoneyPot files. They're not your legitimate data. They, if we were to, those are the decryption instructions. But notice, again, the real data, perfectly fine. And now you don't, oh, here's a duck file. Oh, yeah, I gotta open it with something. I'll just try to open it with WordPad. I don't actually have a Word on this computer, so you're gonna see a little bit of junk there, but it's not encrypted. Oh, here we go. Here we go. See, not encrypted. Not encrypted. None of our data is encrypted. So this is another example of a success situation with the HoneyPot feature versus the Apocalypse ransomware. We're going to be bringing you a whole lot more of these features, these shorter videos to demonstrate this and show it off, and we hope you enjoy them. We hope it's informative. We hope that it's going to get you a little bit excited about this feature, particularly for all you folks out there that oversee large networks. You know, it's going to be good to know that even if your machines do get compromised, their data is going to remain intact. And that's the goal, to mitigate damage from ransomware, to avoid people having to pay the ransom that perpetuates this horrible thing. And we're going to try to, hopefully it won't ever get to this point. We're going to try to protect you prior to it getting to this point with our other protections in CryptoPrevent. If you're not already familiar with its software restriction policies, its filter module, and the other aspects of its folder watching capabilities. But it's really good stuff here, and I'm really happy about the consistent impressions we're getting now. After we've done a number of these tests, we're starting to see that there's few, if any, that truly get to your data before going through our other HoneyPot defenses. Thanks very much for listening along, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks again.